Okay, if you've already watched my video on how to set up a wireless network on Windows Vista, you pretty much already know everything you need to know about how to set up a wireless network with Windows 7. There is, however, one major improvement when it comes to wireless networking that was done with Windows 7, and that involves WPS, or Wireless Protected Setup. What Wireless Protected Setup does is it allows you to avoid having to type in all these long cryptic codes and configure all these SSIDs and go into the router and do all these things that most people seem to hate to do. It substitutes that with the simple push of a button or just simply typing in an 8-digit PIN. Now, this is great when it works, but unfortunately it doesn't always work. Your ability to set up a wireless network still comes down to understanding the ins and outs of how to actually go in to a router and set things up manually. There's a lot more to setting up a wireless network than just connecting. I really don't like to tell people to be overly reliant on convenience features like WPS or even WCN, the flash drive method that I was telling you before, because if you want to do a lot more with your wireless network than just simply connect and surf the internet, if you want to do things like connect wireless printers, game consoles, IP cameras, network storage devices, all those kinds of things require a certain amount of understanding as to how wireless networking and wired networking actually works. So I don't mean to rain on WPS's parade or anything like that, but the fact of the matter is just a lot more involved than just pushing a button and connecting when it comes to wireless networking. Now, all that said, let's just go ahead and take a look at this WPS feature. When WPS first came out, everyone got excited about it because it was so easy for people. The only problem was not all devices on the market could work with WPS. So manufacturers of wireless adapters and other kinds of devices started scrambling to write software to make their pre-WPS devices work with WPS. So then you could go onto the internet, download some software, upgrade your device, and it would suddenly work with WPS. Well, with Windows 7, none of that is really necessary anymore because Windows 7 comes with a built-in WPS client. Right now, I'm sitting at a Windows 7 computer that is using a wireless adapter that was manufactured way before anybody ever heard of WPS. And I'm going to use WPS to connect to my wireless network. So let's go ahead and see how that works. Okay, just like with Windows Vista and Windows XP, it all starts down here in the lower right hand corner by the clock. We still have Networking Sharing Center to tell us what we're connected to or what we're not connected to. Some of these little things have been moved around, but it's still all basically the same. Right now we're connected to a local area connection. So let's go ahead and see if we can find any wireless networks. Simply click on the little icon down here, and right away it pops up with all the wireless networks in our area. Once again, it's just a simple matter of clicking on one, and then it'll go off and say getting information, and then it'll give us the ability to type in our security key. But, however, look at this down here. You can also connect by pushing the button on the router, given that it's a WPS router. I believe that this will only appear if your router supports WPS. So now, instead of typing in the security key, all we really have to do is simply push the button on the router, which I'm going to do right now. And there we go, we're off and running. Network icon down here is doing its little dance. Let's see what happens. Now all of a sudden we've got the beginnings of a network connection, and shazam, we're connected to the wireless network. And then that wireless network shows up in here as a working connection. Now this is a really great thing if you have guests coming over to your home who want to temporarily borrow your wireless network and connect their laptop or whatever device they may have with them and get an internet connection. WPS also works great with many printers. So all in all, it's a great convenience feature. There are caveats, and I discussed that in depth in one of my videos. One of those being that is if you on certain routers that are set up in a certain way, if you have a bunch of devices that were set up the old-fashioned way, you add a WPS device to it, what can happen is all your manually configured settings can be overwritten by the new WPS settings. And what happens then is you end up knocking off all your old legacy devices off the network, and then since they're legacy devices or they may not be using Windows 7 to connect, now all of a sudden you have a problem. So as with any shortcut or any convenience feature, there are things to be aware of. It all comes down to your overall knowledge of wireless networking. So that's basically it when it comes to networking with Windows 7. I hope you enjoyed my short little video series on setting up a secure wireless network with Windows Vista, Windows XP, and Windows 7. Thanks for listening.